my first take, which I didn't think, or my first prediction, I should say, which I didn't think I was going to have until the light bulb kind of went off for me during last week's pod, where we were talking about your Super Bowl prediction, and then you asked me for mine. I was just going through the teams really quick. Time capsule one, I think within the next 3 seasons, the Houston Texans are winning a Super Bowl. That's my first projection. Now, if I were being smart about this, I'd be taking an NFC team, right? Get away from Mahomes, get away from Allen, get away from Lamar Jackson. That'd be like, the higher percentage bet. But when I go and think about teams that I just think are built best for the next 3 years, right? Just that window. Man, Houston's in just a delightful spot. They are in the ideal, optimal spot in terms of what we understand about healthy team building. Put aside the if you have Mahomes and you get to do whatever you want and you're going to be in the AFC Championship game of it all, Houston is guaranteed to have 3 cheap years of quarterback play, right? CJ Stroud is $8.2 million this year, $9.9 million next year, and $11.5 the following year. You and I have done the CJ Stroud, Jordan Love conversation quite a bit. You lean a little bit more on the Love side of things. I lean a little bit more on the Stroud side of things. I think Stroud vaunted himself into the conversation of top 10 quarterbacks last season. I think he's going to belong there for the next few seasons. They have young stars across the board, right? They have a Nico Collins who can be that star receiver for them that teams need. They have Will Anderson, who was the first, their second first-round pick last year, who has defensive rookie of the year caliber play and has that double-digit sack sort of caliber, that takeover caliber. They have Derek Stingley, who's a tricky player to talk about the corner because he was the 3rd overall pick, and then the 4th overall pick was Sauce Gardner, who also plays corner and might be the best corner in the league. So it feels like Stingley is kind of a disappointment. But if you just watch Stingley and forget about where he was drafted and who went immediately after him, that's a corner 1, right? That is a premier position. A guy who's able to match against the wide receiver 1s and go. So you have the young cornerstones. CJ Stroud, who I think very clearly in that game against Cleveland shows you, all right, this guy can win playoff games for you. This guy's that caliber of individual. You have the other young cornerstones on the roster. You have DeMeco Ryans, who just I think everybody who listens to the show knows how I feel about DeMeco as a coach. Since he was the DC of the 49ers, this is just, I think he's as good of a defensive coach as we have in the league right now in terms of what he does schematically, in terms of the energy, in terms of the adjusting for opponent. If you're making me ride with one particular defensive coach to win a game for me, especially against an elite quarterback, I think the list of guys I would take over DeMeco is very, very short and has been shortening for years now. So I believe in Stroud. I believe in DeMeco. And then this offseason for Nick Caserio, showing you, hey, I'm going to make the move for Stephon Diggs. I'm going to make the move for Joe Mixon. I'm going to make the move for Danielle Hunter over John Grenard. We are going to try to punch up this roster with impactful veterans who are available right now, who we know are positive players, while we're on the Stroud young deal, such that if it doesn't work in 24 and they don't win a Super Bowl in 24, maybe they move on from Diggs and they move on from Mixon. All of a sudden, they're just cycling new names in here. And it's getting another star receiver and going to get an impact defensive tackler, or figuring out what to do with all this extra money that CJ Stroud and his competitive advantage is giving you. I just think when I think about teams that are set well for the next 3 years, it's one, Chiefs, without question, because of Mahomes. And then after that, it becomes a conversation. I think the Texans might be 2 or 3. They are up there for that. And so I buy it. I know rookie contract quarterbacks not always winning Super Bowls. I know defensive head coaches not always winning Super Bowls. I know AFC, tougher road to hoe. But if I'm picking at one team next 3 Super Bowls, you're giving me a dark horse team, non-Chiefs, non-Niners to win it. I'm taking the Houston Texans.
Yeah, I'm with you on Stroud. I'm with you on DeMeco Ryans. The roster moves this offseason, I need to think about a little bit more. I can't say that I looked at all those and were they knocked it out of the park. I understand the thinking behind it. I like being aggressive. I like trying to take swings while you have CJ Stroud on a rookie contract. Trading that for Diggs and then ripping up the contract. I mean, for a wide receiver that age, certainly you can poke holes in that move. The Joe Mixon trade, you can certainly and then giving him an extension, you can poke holes in that move. Trading Grenard, the younger player, for Danielle Hunter and giving him a bigger contract. I can say I would like the other side on that. So I'm kind of I need a little check back with me in August when I look at the whole thing and, have my whole assessment of, all right, what I think these teams are going to do this year. But yeah, I mean, the bottom line is, if you just we like to do all this other analysis. If we just did coach, quarterback, rankings, that would probably lead us to good places with a lot of these takes. And I think CJ Stroud, DeMeco Ryan, if you throw offensive line in there, like if you did just, I wonder what it would look like if you just ranked all the coaches, ranked all the offensive lines, ranked all the, what's the one I'm missing? Coaches. Quarterbacks, coaches.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm an old man. Quarterbacks, coaches, and offensive line. You rank them all and just do here's where, all right, I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to decide which teams I think are going to be good. You'd probably end up in a good place. And I think they've got that at a really high level.
I will say with the individual moves of the Texans, I agree with you. I think like Danielle Hunter had his money over John Grenard. Like I wouldn't have hated if they went the other direction. I liked the Stephon Diggs trade. I saw the restructure on the contract. I was kind of like, wasn't as big of a fan of that, not the biggest fan of that as I was. And then Joe Mixon, like, all right, get a trade for Joe Mixon. He's going to be cut anyway. Like, you feel better about your backfield, but you just made Devin Singletary worse. Like, how impactful is that? So each individual move, I agree with you. I'm not like, this is it. They're over the hump. But it is the philosophy indicated by the moves, right? It is the understanding indicated by the moves. Where like everybody who was on the Texans last year who made the drink go, who kind of like, who made the system run, was like a drafted and developed player. Some before Casario's time, others otherwise, and then also Laramie Tunsil, 2 first-round picks and whatever. There's always a world where once you get that young rookie quarterback in, you as a GM can say, all right, like we're just going to coast on this, and like we're going to continue to draft and develop, like long-term health, whatever. But really, what I truly believe to be optimal is when you have years 2, 3, and 4. Like the guy's good from year 1. You have years 2, 3, and 4, and those years are all really cheap. It is optimal to take some big swings, right? And even if like I don't love the way that the Diggs trade and the Diggs contract fell out, there's still a world where Diggs is a 1,300-yard receiver next year. And that is a very big deal. Like I know there's some people who are like, oh, what about Tank Dell? Buddy, Tank Dell ain't got a Stephon Diggs ceiling. I'm sorry, he just doesn't. Like it's a different cat. There's a world where Danielle Hunter goes and has the 14 sack season that John Grenard hopes to eventually have, but we know that Danielle Hunter can do it, and we've seen it. So it is the time to take some larger swings, even if like those moves in a vacuum. It's like, okay, like how much risk, how much reward? Like this isn't like an A+ knock out of the park move. It's just inviting those higher ceilings. What you need to do when you have the money to spend, and you have the young quarterback to build around.
I love Stroud. I mean, Stroud, I feel like this offseason, I like him even. Is he the most likable quarterback in the NFL? I mean, you get him in little snippets. He did a great video with our friend Nate Tice at the Super Bowl. The Micah Parsons clip that was going around. I don't know if you saw that one where I'm like, Stroud, I love this guy. Like, I want to hang out with this guy. He seems very fun and normal.
Coverage. He was unreal. I was like, he's going to take my job and bring our NFL draft show next year. CJ Stroud. It's like that. Yeah. He clearly watched guys, and he was like, oh, he does this for this reason, that for the other reason. CJ Stroud's out here scouting in his off time. Dude, he loves ball. He's the man.
Great personality. Tremendous. Like I always fear that sometimes you get the young quarterback, great personality, and then the league kind of gets to him, and then they turn into a weirdo. Like you generally don't have normal, likable quarterbacks in the NFL, even the great ones. CJ Stroud is on that path. So stay normal. CJ Stroud, stay likable. All right. Texans are in a great spot.